All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first What's the Buzz of 2024. So excited that you're here. Maybe you're here on Zoom, maybe you're here on LinkedIn Live, but either way, welcome to our first monthly chat. So excited for you to be here joining us. So excited to have Sarah from Blue Moon Industries here as well. And we're going to be talking about navigating surcharges and seamless payments, which I'm very excited about, Sarah. So thank you for joining me today.
Of course. Thanks for having me. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. So just for everybody as a recap, this What's the Buzz is the second Tuesday of every month at 4 p.m. on Zoom and LinkedIn Live. It is recorded, and I do send out the recording of every one. For those of you who registered and or attend, you will get that recording. And we chat on here for 20 minutes about a specific topic, hot topics, industry trends, tips and tricks, whatever it may be. So yeah, today we're talking about obviously payments, which I feel like is a huge hot topic right now. And I think surcharges is even a bigger topic. So as we dive in, Sarah, would you like to just chat a little bit about who you are at Blue Moon and what you do? And then we'll get into the questions.
Sure. So I am Sarah Orndorff. I am a senior ERP systems consultant for Blue Moon Industries. I work with all kinds of customers and partners on enhancing their ERP investment and extending the functionality through Blue Moon's products to make sure that your customers as partners and ISVs have all the functionality they need to run their businesses. And I have been focused on electronic payment processing for the last few months, just because, like you said, Amy, there's so much to it, and there are so many things that are different. And one of the things that Blue Moon has done is actually, like you said, integrated surcharging into the electronic payment processing product to make it easy for your customers to maybe recoup some of that financial burden they get from allowing credit cards, which in this day and age you absolutely have to do. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So the topics we're going to talk about today, we have 4 different ones. Obviously, surcharges, as you mentioned, collaboration with payment processors and gateways, which I feel like many people might not understand the differences, or even that they have a payment processor and gateway and they need to switch when they're looking at different payment providers. And then you're fully embedded and seamless in all of the ERPs, Microsoft and Acumatica. And then the no software license cost, which I feel like would be a huge game changer for everyone to learn about on this What's the Buzz chat. So excited to chat with that. So let's get started with surcharges, which you already mentioned. I feel like that's a huge feature. I know it's kind of new for you guys. So yeah, chat a little bit about how that came about and how people can leverage it in the different ERPs.
Sure. So it came about, from a 1 or 2 customer needs, and so the team looked into it and said, yeah, this is probably a really good piece of functionality to put into the solution. However, one of the things anyone who's worked with credit card payments knows that there's a lot of regulations around how you can surcharge different payment types. So what we've done is we've included the ability to surcharge electronic payments. And when we talk about surcharges, Amy, we're really talking about charging the customer. So your customer charging a customer who's putting an order in a percentage to try and recoup your fees that you're paying through the gateway. And so this isn't allowed in all states, but some states it is, and not in all industries. So what we've been able to do is really embed functionality where it reaches out to a bin lookup and it enforces those rules. So I've had customers call and say, hey, my surcharge isn't working. Well, you're in a state that doesn't allow it, and so they try and set it up, but it just won't work. So it's really a smart feature. It is included in the base product. Everything's included. It's not an extra or anything like that. Very easy to get up and running. And surcharges can be done for all of your customers, meaning whether they're a retail, a wholesale, for a subset of customers, or just a specific customer. So it's really, it's pretty flexible, and it will fit in any of your business kind of needs that you have. And coming from, I've worked outside of working for Blue Moon, I worked for a number of B2B customers. And even though it's B2B, you still have to offer credit cards,
Mhm.
right? And say they like to use their business Amex and get those points. And so at the time, this is years ago, really looking for this functionality to try and offset some of those charges that the business was incurring. So that's something, that's our newest feature. We're really happy to demo it live at Summit at the end. We can talk about that towards the end.
Yes.
And then, yeah, so we've got all kinds of demos being uploaded to the site as I speak. So really excited about that one.
Yes, that is exciting. I feel like a lot of people, at least I've been hearing in both the Microsoft and Acumatica space, that surcharges, a lot of people want to be able to offer that, like you said, to offset costs, which is huge. So if, and of course, there are states that don't allow it, but what can you do?
Yep.
But as long as you
Yep.
do it in the states that do allow it, then you're all set.
Exactly. Exactly. And then the other thing too is people want to do surcharging, but don't necessarily have the ability to make sure that the surcharge is legal where they're trying to do it. And if you do surcharge somewhere that you're, and you're in violation of federal law or Visa or MasterCard regulations, you can get hit with some pretty stiff fines from Visa and MasterCard. So knowing that it is, it's a fully compliant solution really should give customers ease of mind that, they're doing what's right for their customers while also being able to manage their expenses.
Exactly, and that's huge. So it's exciting, and I'm sure you'll get
Cool.
a lot of people asking questions about that at Acumatica Summit.
Nice.
All right, another thing that maybe a lot of people don't understand or know about are the different payment processors and gateways.
Yes.
So I understand that Blue Moon can work with a variety of payment processors and gateways, so that if there are customers want to keep using the payment processor gateway, they can. If they want to switch, they can. But I would love to have you share your feedback on how Blue Moon helps with that process.
Absolutely. So Blue Moon today natively supports 12 different gateways, 12 most popular gateways, I will say. And, the beauty of that is when a customer is new to an ERP, let's say they're migrating from a Dynamics solution to Dynamics GP to a Business Central or to Acumatica, they may want to stay with their gateway. There's many reasons to stay with existing relationships. And what we do is if it's one of our 12, it's out of the box. It's very simple to set up, and there's no cost to you as a customer if it's one of our existing 12 gateways. So it makes it very easy. If you do have a customer from an ESP perspective, it is something that can help with the sales cycle or upgrade cycle, whatever it might be, that yes, they can stay with their existing gateway if it's one of the 12. And if it's not, we want to know that too, because it is a very, from a development standpoint, a very simple process for us to spin another gateway up. And we like to start building those relationships and extending our library to serve as many customers as we can, because credit card processing, though it's a really critical part of the business, it should not be a really complex thing in a new ERP system. There
Right.
should be a lot more things you should be focused on in implementation or migration than your credit card processing. And that's one of the things that our portfolio kind of does, is it makes it a really seamless, simple implementation. In fact, Amy, for whoever's on, I was telling Amy when we were waiting, I had a prospect come in December 1st. They were new to Acumatica, wanted to stay with their existing gateway, but their go live was January 1st. So, and of course, December, the last 2 weeks, nobody's around kind of thing. But I was able, I got them implemented and they tested through, we got them migrated, and they went live on January 1st. So it really is just a couple of weeks to get tested, implemented, and signed off. So again, it's we try and make it very seamless. We try and make it very easy so that it is something you don't have to really worry about as part of a new implementation.
Yes, that's great. Yeah, a few weeks and you're up and running. That's
Yep.
nice, quick turnaround time. So it makes it
Yep.
quick and
And
painless and
without the upfront costs, right? There's no cost to the end user or the customer. You're not having to go through a budget cycle. You're not having to go up through a chain to get, a quote signed and all of that stuff. So it is a very no upfront cost to the customer implementing. We get it up and running quickly, get it tested, totally PCI compliant. So it's really ease of use. And again, it can be very complex, but we try and make sure that we take that complexity out of it.
So, and you have mentioned no software license costs. So
Correct.
we'll talk about that before we talk about
Sure.
fully embedded. But so just so people can get a better understanding that what that means, because obviously there's no, we'll say no license cost, meaning no cost to
Yes.
use the solution, but there are other costs, obviously.
Correct. So there's no software cost, no license cost to use the Blue Moon integration, we'll call it, or the enhanced or the electronic payment processing, which connects your ERP to your gateway. We have worked really hard to build some really good relationships with gateways so that we work with them, and our solution, our cost is roll into what you're paying the gateway. So it's, upfront what your fees are going to be based on transaction volume. You're not going to have, an invoice from Blue Moon and an invoice from your gateway and an invoice from this one. And having been formerly an IT director, it used to drive me nuts. So what we try and do is when we implement the new gateways, we try and build really trusted relationships with those gateways so that we can build our cost into into their value proposition to the customer.
That's awesome. So yeah, so just so
Yeah,
everybody knows, there's no licensing fees for the
correct.
solution.
Yep.
I know probably people are saying, what? Are you sure?
And implementation. I mean,
Right. Oh,
nine
there you
times out
go.
of 10, if you're implementing, you're going to get me and my smiley face. So good or bad. But, we have a very structured, I shouldn't say structured, we have a very, repeatable process for implementation. We really like to work with the ERP partner. I personally know when I get a call or an inquiry from a direct customer, I work really hard to make sure the partner's involved. I think I think it's really important to make sure the customer is asking for what they actually need. And it's important for us as the ISV product developer to make sure that it's a good fit. And usually the ISV partner, or I'm sorry, the ESP partner is the best resource for that. So, that is something we really like to do, is make sure we keep the partner fully up to speed. And if they want to do the implementation, great. But we're always here to help support however they need.
That's great. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Our last question is all about fully embedded and the seamlessness of it
Yeah.
all, because I'm sure that helps with the whole implementation as well, because being it embedded, it just seems like they're using the ERP that they're in, whether it's BC, GP,
Yep.
365 Finance, or
F&O. Yeah.
Acumatica.
Right. And it is, I mean, so your, it could be your AR person, it could be your sales agent, maybe you have a call center. That call comes in, whether you're in order processing or your cash receipts or payment processing, we are fully embedded in the code set that the ERP is written in. So your user is going to go along, and when they get to the payment part, so they've entered their sales order, they're going to go ahead and they want to authorize a card before they release for shipment, or even capture those funds before they release for shipment. They click on a button that says get payment, and a window pops up. You enter the new credit card data, process card, and the window says successful, goes away, and there's your actual authorization number with the gateway. One thing I want to point out with how this is implemented, there is no raw credit card data that ever goes into your ERP. So that little pop-up window that is fully part of your user's experience is actually an iframe from the gateway. So you're entering that raw data into the gateway from a data perspective, and not your ERP. So anyone who has ever been through or preparing for a PCI compliance, that's a huge differentiator. And it makes sure that it's very clean and it's very segregated, and all of the PCI compliance, responsibility is on the gateway, and they do it better. We don't want to get involved in anything where we would need, because it is very complex.
Yes.
And it is something from a company that takes credit cards that holds a lot of liability. So rest assured, no raw data will ever be stored in your ERP. The only thing we use is a token that the gateway provides, and it's just a token, and we pass that information back and forth. And that's something, I mean, we could do a whole what's the buzz just on PCI compliance, because
I
it's
bet.
oh yeah, it's a really boring subject, but it's huge. So, again, your sales agent has no idea. They just say, thank you, thank you, Amy, for your order. We've gone ahead and authorized your card for $500. And then when it's ready to ship, it'll capture. And oh, by the way, when it's ready to ship and it transfers that order to invoice, it automatically goes out and does the capture. You don't have to come back. So it's pretty much one and done.
Nice.
Yeah. And it is very seamless to the end user. So it's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So yeah, I really like that part because, when you're implementing an ISV solution and it's already embedded, it just makes it that much easier for training, for implementation, for everything, right? And I know all ISV solutions can't be embedded, but
Sure.
the ones that are, it does make it, very seamless and integrated and easy. So.
Yep. Agreed.
All right, as we wrap it up already, obviously Acumatica Summit is just a few weeks away in wonderful Las Vegas again for the 4th year. I think we have one more year there. I think the total of 5 years at the Wynn, but we'll see. Would love for you to just, where can we find Blue Moon at Acumatica Summit, and obviously shed some light on what you'll be doing there.
Yeah, so we are at booth 112 at Acumatica Summit. Blue Moon Industries, if you go out and, they have all the vendor lists and things like that, but swing by, come say hi, come say, saw you on whatever, come see a quick walkthrough demo, ask your detailed questions, anyone there will be able to answer it, and just, see what else Blue Moon has to offer. We have a lot of products that complement the payment process for different ERP systems, and we'll be able to do live demos and provide you with any information you may need.
Awesome. Well, thank you,
Yeah.
Sarah, so much for joining
Thank
me
you.
for the first What's the Buzz of 2024.
I love it.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in this week. This month, I should say, as I mentioned, we will be sending out a recording for those of you who weren't able to make it here. But yeah, stay tuned for that. And I guess whoever is going to Acumatica Summit, we will see you there. So thank you again, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thanks,
We'll see you in a few
everyone.
weeks.
Sounds good. Bye.
Bye.